Partha Basu is an author, a coach, and a management professional, currently the global head of finance operations for AkzoNobel based in the Netherlands. Over the last 3 decades, Partha has held leadership positions in marquee companies such as Coca-Cola, Whirlpool, and Tata Group. He is the author of 4 books and a guest lecturer in several management institutes. What I find interesting is although Partha is a finance person, he says he has a keen interest in human behavior. Welcome, Partha.
Thank you, Shuman. Thanks for having me here.
I recently came across your article on psychological safety. That is a topic which is very close to my heart as well. So maybe you can start by telling us, what do you mean by psychological safety?
So let me ask you a question, Shuman, before you ask me something.
Okay.
Which is the place you really feel safe?
Well, I think I feel safest at home.
And why do you feel safe at home?
Why I feel safe at home? Because I think nobody is there to judge me. I can just be myself. I don't have any fears. I'm not worried about what I'm going to say or how people will perceive that.
I think our discussion is over because you actually defined what I mean by psychological safety. Out of 24 hours, let's take we sleep for 7 or 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the balanced 16 hours, most of the time we spend time at work.
Right.
So a lot of time goes with our colleagues, with our fellow workers, and the rest of the time we spend at home. So what I mean by psychological safety is that if you don't feel the same way what you feel at home, where no one is judging you, as you said, you are not judging anyone, you are not being judged. You can willing to take risks, you can willing to take decisions. You're empowered to take your things forward. People value your opinion, you can voice your opinion, and you don't feel insecure. I think that is what I mean by psychological safety.
It's interesting, all the things that you mentioned, I'm sure it's difficult to do, especially at the workplace, because probably we're also wired to judge people, and it's very different from being at home. So before we get into those aspects, why is it important at the workplace, especially? Why do you think we need to have psychological safety?
One thing which really put people under stress is worry. Right? If you think about stress, okay, most of the things comes from worrying of losing your job, worrying of not being respected, worrying of not being counted as a management professional. Your opinion is not respected. So all this leads to a worry, and worry causes stress. As you said, at home you don't have this worry, so you give your best.
Okay.
Do you think a person can give 100% when he's or she is in a stress condition? I don't think so.
No.
So that's the reason psychological safety is very important at any aspect of the work. You said something that it is difficult to practice this in the workplace, right? Why do you say so?
The workspace by definition is a lot more competitive as opposed to being at home. Everybody is trying to outdo the other person. It's a lot to do with the culture of the place. If I'm always scared that what I'm going to say, it's a fear of saying something. It could be a fear of doing something. Let's say I do something and I make a mistake. Now, how will that be treated? Obviously I won't want to do it if it can become big, like a career limiting move, for instance. So I think one has always got a lot of their guards up at work. The question is, can I let my guards down? Does the environment allow that? And I think to me that is difficult.
Yeah, and this is where psychological safety comes into play. Think of a workplace where you're not being judged. You come there to perform a duty and win together. Don't you think that will be a much better place to work? Does it make sense for you?
Oh, absolutely. In my career, when I look back, from this lens, there were a few bosses, very few, but who did make me feel very safe. And, I could be open and discuss things. And that made me feel, pretty good. You feel much more engaged at work. So definitely, that is something we would all want.
And if I may ask you that out of all the seniors you worked with, the bosses you worked with, or the colleagues you worked with, if I tell you to list 5 people after so many years, whom will you list? Will you list these guys, or will you list those guys who actually drove you to deliver something without making you feel sad?
The previous set of people, somewhere they left an impression that they were interested in my development and they helped me prosper. They provided the support. So obviously those are the people I remember fondly.
And most importantly, they valued you.
Yes.
And similarly, if I come back to your family, they value you, and that's why you feel psychologically safe.
Partha, you've also had the privilege of working across industries, and pretty diverse industries, right from consumer goods to all the way to airlines. Do you see the need for psychological safety across industries?
In any industry, be it airline, be it paints, be it Coca-Cola, be it white goods, Whirlpool, or IFB, one common factor was people.
Mm.
And psychology of people, or the basic needs of people, doesn't change. You can work anywhere, but end of the day, you are a human being. So that psychological safety net is required everywhere. You need to be valued as a human being first, then as a professional. So for me, industry really doesn't matter. It's same everywhere.
Nice. I think I really like the way you put it. So to be valued as a human being before a professional. So I think the benefits are clear to everyone. And the way you described it, all of us would like to work in environments such as this. So Partha, as a leader, what can he or she do to make sure that the team feels psychologically safe?
This COVID-19 situation was really bothering me, and I could see some of the teams really performing well, and some of them are struggling because the ways of working has completely changed. People doesn't have the physical touch and feel. They are all remote, and this very different situation. What I did is during weekends I spoke to different people, different leaders across the world from different industries, just for my interest. And there are 8 common topics which came out. First of all, the teams which felt psychologically safe, they had agreed team values. So you might have a team of 5 people or 50 people or 500 people or even more. Doesn't matter. If everyone understands what's the value for the team, why they are standing as a team together, I think that is the first very important thing for psychological safety. The second theme which emerged is about no judgment rule. Today what happens is that we are from different cultures, we are from different backgrounds, sitting in different places in the world. So the way we deal, or way we talk, or even way we put our ideas are very different. If you put judgment into that, okay, the new ideas, the innovations will never come out, and people will not feel safe. I think this is a very important point, is about no judgment rule. The third point which emerged is about conflict. When you are in such a diversified team, conflict are bound to happen. I always say that good conflict is okay because it generates new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So as a leader, you have to ensure that you don't shy away from conflict. Instead, if some conflict can be healthy, let it be there. Number 4, which came out, is that you have to encourage people to be creative. And if you link back to the judgment, if you don't judge people of what they bring into the table, I think they can be creative. Okay, everyone is creative. I believe every single individual, be it finance, be it HR, be it sales or marketing, anywhere you are, or production, you are a creative individual. That creativity many of the times are not getting flourished because we don't allow people to flourish. So as a leader, we have to ensure that we give the opportunity to our people to be creative. The 5th common thing which came out is about standing for each other. As a team, we are together. If we fail, we fail together. If you do well, we do well together. So coming back to your original point that, in an office, you may not feel safe because there's competition. Absolutely. But still, you have to stand for each other. Number 6 is about curiosity. I think curiosity is key. So, we have to, as a leader, we have to ensure that we are curious. We ensure that our team is curious. We ask open-ended questions. We don't shut things out. If someone comes with an idea. So if we are curious as a team, I think people will feel very much psychologically safe. The seventh, I think this is the most important point, is about trust. We use this word very loosely, but the meaning of trust is much, much deeper. Again, coming back to your first metaphor about home, because in your home, you trust everyone. No one is going to work behind your back. So also in office atmosphere or a corporate atmosphere, if the trust is there fully, I think that will make a team feel, or individuals feel, psychologically safe. The last point is about feedback. It's not easy. I've seen many good managers, very smart professionals. They are shy to give feedback, and they're very shy or very averse to taking feedback. Feedback is very important for us. For everyone to grow, the feedback is important. So as a team, if you are open to taking and giving feedbacks, I think that also brings in a lot of psychological safety. You are the author of the book From Control to Empathy, right?
Yeah, from
And there
command
the
control.
tagline is about using EQ in the age of disruption. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about empathy from control, okay, does it resonate with you? The same point you were talking about?
Completely resonates. In fact,
So
all
why
the
don't you
points
speak about
resonate.
that?
Command and control style of management is what has traditionally been used. If you go back to management science, and I think today what is happening is, the workplace is changing, the people are changing. In our time, it was we do something because our boss has told us, but today it's not good enough. So unless there is a shared vision, there's a purpose, only then you start motivating people. Right.
Absolutely.
If I have to trust my leader, then there are certain things I'm looking at that leader. First is I should feel safe that I'm able to speak up, safe to say something, safe to do something. I also want my leader to be authentic, to be vulnerable, so that I feel he's more like me rather than a larger than life figure, which also brings in authenticity. Management style or the leadership style needs to move from commanding to what is more conversational. And if it needs to be conversational, I think trust is something which is which is the foundation. And I think if there is a foundation to trust, it is psychological safety, because without that safety, you cannot have trust.
And to trust, you cannot judge people, right? If
Yes.
there's a judgment, then the trust falls apart. So all these 8 points, if you look at that,
Right.
it's empathy is a really big word, and then psychological safety is a part of it.
Yeah.
But all these 8 points are completely interlinked.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you that why don't you answer, and you have a better answer than me.
Let me also say that I think creating that needs an active participation from the leader. As a leader, it's not good enough for me to say, okay, if somebody is wanting to speak, I'll let that person speak. But I think it's more active in terms of creating a space by which I allow people to speak up, which could also mean if I'm in a meeting, for somebody who's not speaking up, to encourage that person to speak up, or maybe push back people who are trying to dominate the conversation. So I think that it is a lot more active to ensure that everybody is speaking up.
Every morning you should look forward to go back to your office, and that can only happen if you think that place is yours. And coming back to our earlier point of OD and stress is not there.
Yeah.
You can't create a great team in today's atmosphere, if people are not safe psychologically. Everyone knows that there are redundancy. People are losing jobs. New jobs are being opened up. The location of jobs are changing. Still, most of the people are giving 100% plus. And people who are doing extremely well, are all, I feel, they feel completely safe.
Is the onus of creating psychological safety in the teams lie only with the senior leadership, or can I also, in somewhere in this, in the middle, do I have a role to play in that?
In my view, no one is a permanent leader and no one is a permanent follower. In a normal day, we lead, we follow, we participate. Right? That's the way we work. What's happening over time is the hierarchical organization is vanishing. We are moving more toward matrix organization. So the responsibility of everyone in the team is becoming more and more important. We also see that we work in cross-functional teams. Some people have more than one supervisor. The way we are working is very different from what was happening yesterday. So in my view, yes, the tone starts at the top, but everyone in a team is equally responsible to create an atmosphere. I can, as a leader, I can create an atmosphere. But if I have team members who doesn't want to be there, then we will not be successful. So I believe the onus is on everyone and not only on the leader. Shimon, let me tell you a story. Okay, we're talking about psychological safety. It's a very big, subject to talk about. I'll give you an incident from my life. I was in Bangalore, in New City, many years back. So I was the finance manager of the place. One of the depots, we had cashiers, and they had to work in the evening. And I saw the people are leaving. Every third day, I used to have a resignation from the cashiers, and they said they don't want to work there. I didn't speak Kannada that time, so one day I said, okay, I'll go there, and they used to work quite late. So I went there around 10 o'clock. So I had interpreter kind of a guy with me, and so both of us went there, and then asked these guys that what happened. So first they didn't want to open up because a senior person has come in. And then I realized the issue is very simple. From the depot to the bus stand was around 100 meters. And Bangalore had this problem of stray dogs. So at the end of the shift, when they used to go to the bus stand to catch a bus to go home, the dogs were after them. And no one wanted to work because two of them got bitten up. Okay. So what I did is, a very simple thing. I told the driver of the last truck, your job is to wait. Once the settlement is done, you just drop them to the bus stand. And next day onwards, there was not a single resignation came. So what I did was nothing great. It's about just listening to them and find a very pragmatic solution. But later on, what they told me is that they feel safe in that atmosphere, that if something happens, okay, someone is there to take care of them. So now these guys never understood what is psychological safety. Neither I understood what is psychological safety. Today I'm talking about that. But it was very simple thing of listening, creating the trust, listening to the feedback, and not judging them, saying that you guys have to work. It is just creating the safety. So I thought of telling you the story because then you can relate to what I mean by psychological safety, which is nothing but basic, just listening to people and ensure that you take care of them.
I love that story because it goes to the heart of empathy. Just putting yourself in their shoes, understanding what their needs are, that creates trust. And I think that's linked to the previous point that we were talking about. Even if you're downsizing, you still have to take those hard calls. But the point is, can you do it with compassion and empathy so that
Absolutely.
You're still able to connect with people as humans, as you rightly said?
No one comes to office to do a bad job. Everyone comes to office to do a good job. And no one comes to office to be disrespected. Now, if you link these two, I think we have all the answers. It's all about respecting people, be with them, trust them, and work with them and listen to them. That is all about leadership.
Do you have one message that you'd like to leave our viewers with?
Two things. One is the times are changing. As leaders, as individuals, as professionals, I think the leadership traits we require will be very different from today to tomorrow. Okay, so we should be mindful of that. In today's world, it is important that we lead from the heart. If leaders can lead from their heart, I think the world will change and we'll be a real leaders. And we can be of those 5 people or the 5 bosses you had, whom you still remember, versus those hundreds of them you don't remember. So the people who can lead from the heart are definitely going to excel.
Very well said, Partha. What you said really resonates with me. I completely believe that leadership is more about the heart than the head. I mean, the head is required. Anybody who's at a certain level already has that. The question is, can you make that change to leading from the heart? Thank you so much. And it's been a complete pleasure talking to you.